Hello, everyone. Tim, you're bloody keen in here. You were here like an hour too early. Well, welcome, Tim. Welcome, Monica. Hope you're all well. Um, welcome, Sarah P. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. Please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel on the YouTube and press that notification bell on the way in. No, my niece is here. So yeah, if you could do that, brilliant. Because most people always forget. Um, right. I need to. What do I need to do? I need to do this. Hang on. I'm trying to set the stream. This stream up. That one's there. Fine. Done. Customization. Redirect. So we'll redirect straight to day 3 of this. I know I put it at 7 o'clock, but we won't wait till 7, 2 o'clock Eastern. But we go straight to this after this. Uh, so save. So that's done. Right. I'm gonna see how. There's in the back end, it's all different, right? There's a lot of stuff happening in the back end of the dashboard around YouTube and ads and stuff. So I'm not 100% sure how it all works yet. So you have to bear with me. I think there's an option where I can switch so that I do the ads and not YouTube, but I'm not looking at that today. I'm not looking at that today. I don't understand. I need to look up stuff. But anyway, join the alternate core community as well. Consider becoming a Blue Wench or Taco Club member. Monica is a new Taco Club member, so welcome, Monica, as of yesterday. I hope you like Discord. It's mostly Jonathan in Discord talking about food and hunting and stuff, but please contribute, please chat away in there. But his supper last night, it did look nice, I'll be honest, it did look nice. So if you fancy doing that, press the join button. Also follow me on Twitter. This account's Twitter is Happy Days Done. So, and I've got my own personal one as well. Where, yeah, I don't. Well, I'm trying to tweet less. Check out the official merch. No one goes on the merch anymore. I need to spruce it up a little bit, I think, and see if we can do some discounts or something to encourage people. If you'd like to support the channel, yet again, Stream Elements. This is PayPal. Never required, but always appreciated. Is how I make my money. Tim, yeah, as I say, Tim's been very keen to be here today. Hello, Tim and Monica. Hello, Sarah P. Monica C. Me. Y'all. Nunez here. Okay, now we can relax now. Nunez here. Nunez. Nunez. So, yeah, I'm not sure what he did, Tim. Did he piss the bed or something? Because you're here super early today. Hi, Christine. Hi, Christine. Don't worry, Sarah P will share your link. She will share your link. It's all good, Sarah, Christine. But I'll be honest, Christine, I think the majority of people here are already members, I think, of your channel. We encourage people to join your channel. Tim, laughing. Hello, Christine. Hello, Tim. And well done, Christine. Congratulations, Christine. I think a lot of them came from here because I think pretty much everyone of our members have joined your channel, Christine. So we do. Sarah P does a good job. She does promote it, and most people say they've already joined it. So congratulations, Christine. That's good news for you, Sarah P. Right, as you all know, there is no trial today. because the attorney's ill. So what we're going to do? Wait, what? What's wrong, Tim? Wait, what? Oh, that. Yeah, Christine's a member, and yeah, if you go and follow Christine, give her a sub. That'd be great. See, thanks, sir. So this is Tim will join your channel. Nunya, Christine. How are you, Nuns? I hope you're well. I hope everything's going well for you. Right, no trial today, but we got this. So what I'm going to do is back to back covering this today. So just in case people think I'm going to wait till 2 o'clock Eastern, I'm not. There we are. Thank you. So Christine, Tim is very new here, so he just subscribed to you as well. So there we are, Christine. Another subscriber for you. Hello, Mary, quite contrary. How are you, Mary Viviano from New York? I hope you're well as well. You're welcome, Tim. So there we are. Now Christine's happy. So, and yeah, I noticed last night. Thank you for renewing your membership, Christine. I did appreciate that. Thank you. So we're going to be doing day 2, day 3 back to back. We've got approximately, well, actually, pretty much smack on. It says about an hour and a half left for this one of day 2, and then we'll go on to day 3 then straight after it. I've set it up so you just kicked over. We'll do it that way. The reason I do it that way, I know it's annoying for you guys, but I do it that way because then when I do a playlist, it's organized. Do you know what I mean? Rather than saying this is day 2B plus day 3A or something, so it keeps for people that want to watch it afterwards, it's easier for them. And just remember, tomorrow we'll put day 4 of 4A, the morning session of Danielle Redlick, and then we'll do the trial in the afternoon as well. The trial will follow in the afternoon, and I will not be streaming the eye drops murder trial sentencing. But obviously, feel free to go watch that and come back. But I will be I will record it and probably just not live, just do it. I don't know, maybe I'll do it live, I don't know. And then put down the playlist then. So yeah, so that's what we got planned. So with all that being said, let's not wait about. Let's just get going. Why are we waiting? I have no idea why we're waiting. All right, I need to go into this one. Share. I think that's it.
And it's somewhat diluted, but not as much as some previous areas were. And you can see that the pattern extends back toward the bedroom.
Let's go.
And number 13, I believe, is a towel. But again, you can see the area that has been wiped through.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You have some drip stains as well, which were not altered.
You mentioned this term directionality in the context of a
Hi, Danny. Hi, Danny. Just explain about Christine. She's been a member with us now for I think 3 months. So she goes into lots of different trials, but she's constantly a member. She always pops in to say hello, then she buggers off then to say hello to other streamers. So thank you for subscribing to her. She's very unique, but we do like her. And yeah, so I just try to support everyone that supports me. So thank you for subscribing, Danny, and I hope you're well as well.
Is there also a way to infer or discern directionality when it comes to the white pattern or the direction of the overall white pattern in this scene?
Yes, sometimes you can see the what we call the feathering of an edge, and in this case, we have a little feathering over here, not as much as a couple other photographs, but It would indicate basically that the wiping,
Hi,
generally
Tracy.
speaking, of the hallway was going from right to left.
From right to left in this photograph?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Indicate anyone walking or anything like that.
let's talk about that. So in a scene like this, where you have a person who is bleeding in multiple areas of the home, a large home, would it be possible for you to offer some opinion, some reconstruction about where the person walked first, where they went to next, or maybe even where the stabbing or the bloodletting event started? Would that be a possible opinion that you could offer? Not in this particular case, I'm talking about generally.
Generally speaking, that is possible to do based on blood stain patterns in some cases, yes.
Was it possible to do in this particular case?
No, it wasn't. And what I'm really referring to, if you have a bleeding person who's moving, let's say a distance down a hallway or whenever, and dripping blood, you'll see a drip trail. You may or may not see directionality, depending upon how fast they were walking. And then if they went down a hallway and came back, you generally would see a second drip tail going, not too far from it, but there'd be a pair of them, one going up and one coming back. I can't say in this case because it's been too altered.
The entire scene?
Yes, totally altered, yes.
Thank you, Mary.
What do we see here? Photograph 3396 and 3398.
Here we see some small spatters that are, if you look closely, you can see they've got a downward directionality, so they're coming from top to bottom.
Okay. And now moving kind of farther towards the primary bedroom in photograph 337, continuation of that white pattern with the directionality that you previously discussed?
Yes, and here's a better example of the feathering I was talking about. See, it's more concentrated here, then it lightens up. That's why I was saying directionality, looking at the photo from right to left. That's what I was talking about.
Photograph 3341, what is this, a useful photo?
Yeah, that's another good example of the wiping, but you also see right below that, you can see some altered stains that have begun to dry. You got the outer perimeter area, and then you got some small spatters over here, which may also be just some dried flakes of blood. Again, here's a good example of, stains that have begun to dry from the outside in, but the centers are void. So that is more indicative of wiping, especially right here too. These all used to be drip stains before they were wiped through.
So this is another example of sequencing where the blood was deposited. There's sufficient time for it to dry from the outside in, and then it's wiped through, but that dry part is still left.
That's correct.
Okay. Continuing to follow that pattern as we move towards into the primary bedroom.
Yes, the pattern continues, through the hallway.
Thanks, Danielle.
Could you just go back one?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see where the bedroom is. And then it turns in toward the bathroom.
And we're seeing that pattern in this next slide, photograph 3347 and 3346.
Yes, again, more wiping area. If this area was not wiped, you would see more drip stains.
And you may be able to tell more about what happened in the scene.
If the wiping had not occurred, there was, I believe, a lot of information was lost by the wiping.
Destroyed.
Objection, argument.
Sustained.
I'm sorry?
Moving on. Photograph 3206. We're continuing to follow that pattern towards the bathroom.
Yeah, the picture on the left, you can see the pattern coming out of the hallway and then turning into the bathroom area. And then going now on the right side, the pattern is going into toward the bathroom.
Do we see sort of evidence here of kind of a more thorough cleanup as we get kind of closer to the bathroom? Sort of more has been diluted, more has been removed.
Well, certainly there's not as much blood, but then again, I don't know how much blood was there originally. So again, it's an unanswered question.
Photograph 3355.
The number 15 here, evidence marker 15, shows you a pair of slacks that appear to have some blood saturation on them. And adjacent to that, you see some well-formed drip stains that have not been altered at all.
Okay. And photograph 3774 and 3776.
Yeah, there you see, there are two closets, one on the left side of the hallway and one on the right. And I believe this was one or the other, male or female closet. And that's simply a transfer stain on just inside the interior wall of the closet, just caused by an object wet with blood that made contact with it.
From your review of the entire set of photos, would you be able to say that this particular transfer stain was kind of sort of isolated or separate from the main pattern of blood within the house?
Yes, it's kind of off by itself for whatever reason.
Okay. All right, going to look at the next presentation. And are we now going to focus in on the patterns that were present in the primary bathroom?
Okay, you can see the wiping pattern coming up to and just over the threshold into the bathroom.
Okay. Look at that, those pants again. Now let's look at these two photos and talk about what you're able to opine based off of the order of events.
Yes, we're looking at the interior floor of the bathroom, and you can see there's a broken piece of molding here, which actually fits up here when it was all one piece. But what is significant to me is that that piece was broken prior to the spatter being produced. So it was on the floor when the spatter was produced. It was not part of an activity contemporaneous with the blood spatter.
Based off its location, are you able to conclude that that door must have been open when that pattern was produced?
Yes, that was a bit confusing. I made an adjustment to my report. Yes, the door was open. And you've got the blood pattern that continues onto the lower casing, which would have been obliterated by the door had it been closed. It's a drip pattern that was produced with the door open.
So you refer to it as a drip pattern. Why are we calling this a drip pattern on the casing?
Because satellite spatters are caused by drip patterns, but we don't see the drip pattern, or we don't see the pooling that caused the drip pattern because it's gone.
Are you able to say whether or not that satellite spatter, so blood dripping into a pool of blood, is coming from a person who's bleeding or an object that is soaked with blood and that's dropping blood into a pool? Could you say one way or another what the source might be?
As long as the object has sufficient blood to cause blood to drip from it, it can be any object or it can be a portion of a person.
Now, let's talk about what you did and did not see on the exterior of this door. Did you see any sort of blood stains, any blood pattern on the upper portion of the door?
Well, there's a small flow pattern, which is right here.
Yeah, I would refer to that as a lower portion. I'm talking about the upper portion of the door. So from the handle up, did you observe any blood stains?
No, wait a minute. Oh, you mean up here on this side, on the left?
Yeah, the left.
So there's nothing there.
Okay. But we see a flow pattern on the exterior?
Which on the lower portion, yes.
Lower portion. And then how would you describe the pattern on the bottom portion of the door?
Well, there's some additional satellite spatter, which in this photo appears to be continuous with the small spatters on the floor. But again, we don't see the parent stain, so I can't say what objects or anything may have produced it, but something above was dripping blood, creating a satellite spatter.
I want to talk a little bit about this pattern that you see here that sort of crosses the threshold. How would you describe that pattern?
It's a pattern that's been altered, not in the same condition as it was when it was produced.
Do you see any corresponding staining to the very bottom portion of the door that would match up with the stain that sort of spills over the threshold?
Not really, no.
So to be more consistent that the door was open when this particular pattern was produced?
Yes.
Now, photograph 3244, did you observe any blood or any staining to the interior side of the primary bedroom door?
No.
Now moving to some additional photographs of the bathroom. to this particular sink, how would you describe this stain?
Well, evidence marker 22 is designating an area where there's been some blood dilution, and you can see it within the bowl of the sink, and a little bit on the is right there. So contact was made there with some dilution, and then more dilution in the sink.
And let's talk about this top photograph. Did you see some red-brown staining where my cursor is indicating that was consistent with a transfer stain?
Yeah, so that's the water control in the shower, and you can see a transfer stain on it.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Or the last presentation, which is titled Kitchen. Tell the jury the patterns that you're seeing here, photograph 3437 and 3441.
Well, we're seeing first of all, on the left side, we're seeing evidence marker number 4, which designates the location of a knife with reddish brown stains on it. And also there's a trash can nearby, which we'll see later. And on the right side, you see some small spatters that are, probably a couple of feet above the floor.
Talk to the jury about the stains on the knife that's pictured next to marker 4 and the stains around the knife that's pictured.
Well, the stains on the knife are transfer stains on the handle, which means there was blood on most likely the hand of someone grasping a knife at that point in time, and also some transfer stains on the blade.
What about around the knife?
Around the knife, we see, again, some classic dilution of blood, which is still consistent with a cleanup attempt.
Close-up of those transfer patterns, photograph 3488. Just close up of those transfer patterns you were discussing.
Yes.
Talk to the jury about what this is a classic example of, 3438.
Okay, this is another classic, in my opinion, classic example of satellite spatter. And satellite spatter, by the way, very rarely will be more than 15 or 20 inches above the floor because of the way it's produced. And we see it on the baseboard, and we see it on the lower wall. Okay, how did it get there? Well, this area here is clean, but this is the area that would have produced the satellite spatter based on blood dripping in the blood, but it's not there. You cannot get this, you cannot make this pattern without having some additional blood.
So at one time there had to have been a pool of blood in that area.
A pooling of blood, and I can clarify, a pooling of blood or multiple drops that are close together.
And whatever was there is gone.
It's gone. And the satellite stains are present, but you cannot tell where the parent area was.
More of a close-up of the satellite stains and kind of this line of demarcation towards the bottom of the floor where it's been.
And that becomes a void area.
Okay.
You can see there's some of the drip stains are actually still present over there, but there was much more there to create the satellite spatter on the baseboard to the right.
All right, talk to the jury about this collage of photos on the next slide, photograph 3451, 3458, 3456.
Well, you can see the trash can has been dented. I just made that observation. I'm not attaching any significance to it necessarily. But you see the contents of the trash can have been photographed. And you've got the that Laura Mercer box. It's got blood transfer on it. And you've got another whitish cloth or something that's got some blood transfer on it. And you have a McDonald's bag, and you also have a quarter-pounder box which has blood transfer on it.
So what can you infer about the presence of this blood transfer on the quarter-pounder box?
Well, it was placed in the trash can after blood had been produced on it.
And something or someone with blood on them coming in contact with that object.
And then someone had to place it in the trash, yes.
And then place it in the trash. Okay. 3514. What is this stain on this T.G. Lee milk jug an example of?
Well, this photograph shows you the container of milk in the refrigerator. And right above the label of Dairy Pure T.G. Lee, there's a transfer stain, which is very close to the handle where one would attempt to pick up the container. So someone had likely came in contact with that object.
Okay, photograph 3144, just a sort of an overall shot of the kitchen from an opposite angle. And moving towards the sink, what do we see here in the next slide?
Well, we see 3 more evidence markers, 5, 6, and 7. You see a diluted stain on the edge of the sink with the peripheral rim that's darker than we've seen before. And we see utensils in the sink, labeled 5, 6, and 7 being a knife, and then a spoon and a knife, and then number 7, I can't tell right away. It's a white handle, something.
Okay, let's talk about what stains, if any, you see on any of these objects inside the bathroom, or I'm sorry, inside the sink.
Yeah, so number 5, there appears to be reddish brown staining on the blade. Number 7, there appears to be a small amount of reddish brown staining on the white handle, in addition to the adjacent area in the sink, which would be here and then,
Oh, sorry.
here and then as well there.
Okay. And we see some patterns that are consistent with the appearance of blood.
There's more foot impressions, which you see several there in that area.
Talk to the jury about the appearance of the stain that we see here in photograph 3505 and 3508.
Yeah, those stains are very odd looking. You can see they've been deposited there. But they've been altered. But I don't think they were altered by anyone in particular. I believe they were deposited, such possibly a drip stain, and then something on the surface of that area, like grease or something, has caused the stain to come together somehow. I kind of relate it sometimes to if you have a nicely waxed car and blood drips on it, it retracts the stain. I have no other explanation. It's something on that texture of that surface has caused that blood to do that.
We see some more examples of those red-brown stains consistent with the appearance of footprints in the kitchen.
Yeah, which reflect more, bare footprints.
Okay. Now moving 3529 and then 3529, 3530. Tell the jury what you see.
Yes, you're seeing on the bread knife, you're seeing some reddish brown stains on the handle, which are transfer stains.
Okay. So that concludes your presentations. Mr. James, did you ultimately reach an opinion about whether an extensive cleanup attempt was perpetrated inside this home?
Yes, it was.
And did that cleanup attempt materially impact your ability to offer any reconstruction testimony to this jury?
Yes, it compromised it to a large extent.
I have no further questions of this witness.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our afternoon break. It is 2:55 now, so we can come back at 3:15, okay? And just let me remind you, don't talk about the facts that you've heard so far about the case. All right.
How are you doing, Chris? I hope you're well. Lovely to see you as always. Beaver, punt, and tackle.
Was I talking slowly?
Hang on. Right. How are the ads, Sarah P? How are the ads? Because I'm just looking stuff up. There's a way of delaying ads as well. You can press insert ad and you press delay ads. And I think there's a way that I can do it myself. I'm just concerned because there's only 3 people here. I'm doing well, Chris. Chris, have you been following our new trial? The Seabeck murder one? Have you been following it? Because I know it's late for you and everything, but it's not on today. But have you been following the quadruple murder one? It's going to be an interesting trial if you haven't seen it yet. It's in Washington, in Seattle area. Well, follow it, see. So the reason I say it is because it's in. Hi, Chris. It's interesting. It is. So we've done 2 days, and we've only done. So the opening statements for the prosecution was about 2.5 hours long. But there's three, that's right, three defendants. So they've all got their own attorneys. And we've only had one opening so far. And that was about well over 2 hours as well. And we've got two more openings for the defense on Thursday. So there's no stream today because the attorney's ill, defense attorney's ill. So it's just interesting because there's three defenders, three different defense teams, one prosecution team, and the lead prosecutor is a B-I-T-C-H. She's a what? She's a B-I-T-C-H. She is full of herself. She just objects to everything. And accused of murdering a step family of four, two 16-year-olds and the mother and father. So we don't know how interesting it's going to be. And also, Chris, just so you know, I'm the only one on YouTube streaming it to date. It's not on Law Crime, it's not on Court TV, it's not on all that. I have access direct from the court. So it's not as good in terms of quality, but it is unique because I'm the only one streaming it. So we'll see. I think we've not got into it yet, Chris, if you know what I mean. So I think it's going to be good, though. It's going to be different, shall we say. But that prosecutor, Jesus, she is full of herself. Right, let's skip it and go to here. There's only one Chris Mullen. There's only one Chris Mullen.
Mr. Parnell, when you're ready.
Thank you. Good
From
afternoon, Mr.
Australia.
James.
Good afternoon.
You would classify yourself as a forensic scientist, not a medical doctor, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I will warn you, obviously, I might have pumped it up a little bit here. Hang on. So hang on, Chris, hang on. This is the details of it, Chris, in here, of it all. It's got cartels, motorcycle club, drugs, everything involved in it. Women, affairs, it's got it all. It's got it all. So I might be underselling it. There's only one Chris Mullen from Australia.
Absolutely correct.
You do not hold any licensing, any certifications for bloodstain pattern analysis specifically.
I just have a series of proficiency tests I take every year.
You incorporated your forensic
Also,
expert business in the late 1980s.
I'm sorry?
putting the
You
caveat,
incorporated your forensic expert.
yeah, all the attorneys hate each other, so it's cringe. But the only warning I'm putting on it is it's going to take estimated to take 3 to 4 months to conclude it. Just so you know, so there's a bit of an investment in it. Just so you know.
expert business in the late 1980s.
I became incorporated as James and Associates in 1994.
94. I apologize for that. So your livelihood is earned as a professional expert witness.
I'm sorry?
Your livelihood is earned as a professional expert witness.
That's not necessarily true. I work cases and I teach. Whether or not I testify is up to the case I'm working on. I do not consider myself a professional witness.
Thank you. You first got involved in this case in April 2019, correct? Would reviewing your report refresh your recollection as to the date?
Yeah,
Do you have that in front of you?
yeah, April 1st of 2019. Yeah,
Okay. And you were hired by the state attorney's office in this case, correct?
that's correct.
The state attorney sent you materials to review for this case.
Correct.
You never went to the scene itself as a part of your analysis in this case, is that correct?
I did not.
So you're relying solely on materials provided to you by the prosecution team for your analysis.
She's a massive crybaby. But Nunya also thought she was a man. Nunya, for the first day, thought the woman was a man. I loved it. It's a woman.
analysis and your consultation in this case.
That's correct.
You would agree with me that generally blood evidence is not going to tell you what happens prior to an injury.
Could you repeat that, please?
Generally, this case, other cases, blood evidence, what you're doing, is not going to tell you what happened prior to an injury. Correct?
Right. I rely upon the blood evidence as to what happened prior to that. Right. I don't know.
Because blood stays in the body until there's an injury that makes it no longer in the body. Correct?
That's pretty much the way it is.
That's how it works. All right. So your analysis, largely what you're looking to determine is how an injury occurs, where it occurs, and what the person did after sustaining the injury. Correct?
Well, to the extent that I'm not testifying about the specifics of the stab wound, that's the pathologist's job. But
That's not your expertise. That's not your.
And I don't get into that. So
Okay. So what we're looking at is after an injury is inflicted, what's the person doing after that is pretty much what we're dealing with your testimony,
yes, or what the blood is telling me based on my examination. Correct.
which again deals with events after the injury is inflicted.
Yes, correct.
You said on direct that sequencing is possible in some cases, certainly not all.
That is correct.
By that you mean telling what happened, what order events are happening, right?
That's correct.
Based on the materials that you reviewed in this case, you have no reason to believe that Mr. Redlick sustained his injury outside of the home.
No, there's no evidence of that whatsoever.
You have no reason to believe that Mr. Redlick left the home at any point after sustaining his injury.
I don't believe he did.
You are aware that this case involves a single stab wound
I am aware of that. Yes.
and that the bleeding coming from Mr. Redlick that we're dealing with is coming from that single stab wound, or that the evidence is consistent with that.
Well, I believe he had another, if I can look at my notes here. He had a small incised wound on his left eyebrow and one on his abdomen, but they were probably not contributing very much to the bleeding, but there were three areas of bleeding.
So what we're dealing with, the blood being deposited on the ground, that's coming from the wound in his shoulder.
Yeah, most of it has, yes.
You mentioned this on direct, so you would agree with me here that a single stab wound is not going to produce spatter.
That's true.
So the spatter, if there's a repeated stabbing, or if there's a repeated beating or bludgeoning, is going to come from the hand or the fist or the object making contact with the blood that's already coming out. Is that fair to say?
Yes, in fact, another way to put it is that stab wounds are blunt injuries with a sharp edge because it's a hand.
Jonathan, I've got to stop it there. So, Jonathan, that food you had last night looked delicious, Jonathan. Looked delicious. So, well done.
That creates a spatter from an exposed blood.
And since there's not exposed blood at the time of the first stab wound, you're not having blood bounce off of where the wound is like you would for a second, third, fourth wound, correct?
And the blood has to flow, and then if that area is impacted again with a knife or with any other object, that's when you get spatter.
Okay. So knowing that this is a single stab wound case, you would not expect to see any spatter indicating where the injury was inflicted, meaning where in the house, where in the home.
In terms of spatter, that's correct.
You're looking at where did he bleed after sustaining the wound?
That's essentially what I did, yes.
You're able to conclude that the wiping, there's evidence of wiping going through pre-existing blood stains, correct?
Yes.
And a lot of what we're looking at there I'll show you on the PowerPoint here. So these slides going into and through the bedroom area, is that what you're talking about?
That's correct.
Okay. So the evidence there is showing you that the blood fell to the ground in the bathroom and up to the, or sorry, in the bedroom and up to the bathroom door prior to it being wiped.
Yes.
The blood contained in those areas does not come from somebody using a mop like a paintbrush to essentially take the blood from the living room or from some other place and move it into the bedroom or into the bathroom. Right?
I don't believe so, no.
There's no evidence of it.
No, none whatsoever.
So the blood that's in the bathroom, the blood that's in the bedroom and up to the bathroom door, that's being deposited, dripped from the body in those rooms, correct?
Yes.
This would indicate to you that a bleeding person, presumably Michael Redlick, was walking around after the event that made him start bleeding, presumably the stab wound to his shoulder, and that sometime after that, somebody, presumably Danielle Redlick, is cleaning it up.
Yes, it was cleaned up afterwards.
So that's the order that we're looking at.
I'm sorry.
That's the order of events, time-wise, that we're looking at.
I would agree with that. Yes.
You would agree that there's no evidence that Michael Redlick's body was dragged or carried throughout the home.
No.
So all indications are that he walked himself.
Yeah, but Tim, we now know how to zoom in. So we now know how to zoom in to the court, which I didn't know how to do before.
To the area
It's all
where
good.
he
Tim,
came
it's
to
all
rest. Would
good.
you agree with that? Just here in the living room.
Yes.
So he's getting there himself. He's not being dragged. He's not being carried, rolled, nothing like that.
I mean, from what evidence is available to look at, that's true.
But what evidence is available certainly does not indicate what I just said.
Correct.
You explained spatter, satellite spatter, and in short, I think maybe a lay explanation there is that blood is dripping from above onto the ground and then kind of bouncing onto a vertical surface to the wall.
Yes, I guess you can use the word bouncing. Some people use the term ricochet, but multiple drops coming down will create the satellite spatter, and it will it will land in the periphery of that parent stain, basically.
So what we're seeing here,
That's
this is
correct.
going to be 3439.
Yes, that's a classic example of satellite spatter on a vertical surface.
Okay. So by seeing that evidence, you were able to determine that pooling of blood existed right there on the ground underneath where that vertical surface is.
Yes, because in this photograph, it's isolated. There's nothing there to say what caused it. It's missing.
Well, it sounds like you've described what caused it, is the blood falling into
Yes.
other blood on the ground.
The
and
parent
ricocheting
stain
onto
that
the wall.
produced the satellite spatter is not there.
But by seeing the stains on the wall, the spatter stains on the wall, you were able to determine that blood was concentrated there.
That's correct.
Some of the things that you observe, we're looking at 3774 and 3776. You can see those?
I do.
And that's two photographs of the same thing, one zoomed out, one zoomed in.
That's correct.
You would agree with me that some of these, you're not able to tell how that fits in, even though there's no evidence of alteration.
Right. That stain does not appear to be altered.
You don't know if that happened at the same time, even the same day, just based on looking at it.
That's true. I mean, it's kind of an isolated stain. It could or could not have been associated with that event.
So some of the evidence is relevant, some of it may not be, as to actually making your determinations.
Yeah. In other words, I could not connect that particular stain with anything else that occurred.
But you can't rule it out either.
Well, I couldn't say how it occurred other than being a transfer stain.
Right. So you can't say it's at the same time, it's at a different time, who's doing it, how it gets there. You can't say any of that just by looking at a picture of blood on the wall.
Right? Or even whose blood it is. I don't know.
What we're seeing here, this is 3315.
Yes.
Then again here on 3308. You're not able to say exactly how that occurs, correct?
No, it's a very complex pattern, but I would be comfortable just calling it a transfer stain without trying to make any further identification of it.
So several possibilities can exist there.
Yeah.
One, as you kind of intimated on direct, is that it's kind of doing the cleanup process, right?
Possibly, or another mechanism would be his arm, possibly, or his hand. But
So another is that his arm nearby the door is making it on his own, right?
yes, but there's too many possibilities to really draw a firm conclusion.
Another possibility there is that obviously we know at some point Mr. Redlick was upright. We see in this photograph that he is no longer upright. He had to have fallen down at some point, you would agree?
Of course,
His body's lying right next to that stain. It's a possibility that as he falls to the ground, he deposits that blood, makes that stain.
that's certainly another possibility, which is why I couldn't draw a firm conclusion.
you agree with me that looking at 3377 and 3378, the blood we see at the broken part of that frame,
That's correct.
okay? So that indicates to you that the door was broken prior to the blood letting a vent
Correct.
that introduced the spatter onto those parts of the door.
That is correct.
You know that because the spatter on when
What? Did you not get the ads on the way in or anything? What are we talking about? No ads. I was like, I must have pressed something right then. I don't know. I've been messing about with it. No ads. Oh, okay. Why are we talking? Yeah, I don't know, Tim. Good question. Yeah, you blocked them all. Turn on and off. I had 2 ads when I first tuned in and no more yet. Okay. Okay, I got it on medium, you see, so okay. I think I got all of them so you don't have to get the ads. Thanks, Tim. So do I, Monica. There we are, that'll explain. But I still get paid for premium. I still get paid for it, so it's good. I have premium as well.
when it was pieced back together on that top part is not consistent with basically the spatterless part on the bottom part of the frame still intact.
That's correct.
You can't say what was broken, how it was broken. You have no ability to say anything
Oh,
on that.
and I drew no conclusion to that effect.
And it's your opinion today that the blood spatter at the bathroom door occurred while the door was open.
Correct.
Has that always been your opinion in this case?
No,
You authored a report in this case in, let's see, 2019, correct?
I'm sorry.
Do you remember when you authored, did you write a report in this case? Do
Yes, I did.
you remember when you did that?
The date of my report was June 17th, 2019.
In the report, you give conclusions based on your expertise, based on your training, based on your experience, and what you're analyzing as you see it in this case.
Correct.
At the time when you wrote your report, after examining all the evidence that you've seen in front of you today,
Correct.
after you wrote it in June, so you had 2 full months to consider everything,
Excuse me, I what?
you got the evidence in April, correct? April of 2019,
Yes,
you received the
2019,
materials,
yes.
and then June is when you wrote the report,
June 17th,
okay, of 2019,
same year, yes.
so several months later. Is there opinion at that time that the door was closed, correct?
Yes,
That has changed obviously today.
yes, re-examination, I realized that I was mixing up the bathroom floor with the hallway floor in the north and the south, so I corrected that prior to trial.
So getting another chance to look at it, to think about it, to contemplate the evidence in front of you, you realize you'd made a mistake.
Yes, I'll certainly admit that.
You gave a deposition in this case, correct? A deposition in this case?
I did,
That was July of 2021.
correct?
I was present, State Attorney Mr. Wiggins was present, it was recorded.
That's correct.
You swore an oath, tell the truth, tell the whole truth, just like you did in court today.
Well, of course,
You reviewed your materials, you reviewed your report prior to that deposition, I would assume.
probably, yes.
Do you remember being asked about your opinion as to what was going on with the door at that deposition?
Yes, I had
The
the same,
bathroom door specifically,
and I had the same conclusion as I had in my report. I
that it was closed.
I didn't notice the mistake until recently.
Okay, so your opinion at that time in July of 2021, 2.5 years after, 2 years after you got the material and reviewed it and authored your report, was still that the door was closed.
Yes, but of course, I hadn't looked at my report in 2 years, but I looked at it again before I came for my deposition and still at that time had the same conclusion.
Okay, and your conclusion in this case prior to this week has been that the blood spattered on the door was coming from a source outside the closed door, dropping blood, dripping blood onto the door from the bedroom.
Correct. Not from
That's
the
no
bedroom,
longer
not
your
from the
opinion today.
bedroom, from the hallway.
The hallway between, so here's the master bedroom, here's the bathroom. You're talking about this hallway between the bathroom and the
Yes.
bedroom? Okay,
Right.
we're on the same page there. Understood.
Okay,
But from outside of the bathroom, not inside the bathroom.
Yes.
And now your opinion is that the door was open for both of those stains in the bathroom, both on the threshold of the door and then on the ground and the part of the door that's facing towards the bedroom.
yes, for the reason I explained, I made the correction.
So when did your opinion change as to that issue?
As to what?
As to the issue of how the blood gets on the door at the
When
bathroom?
did it change?
When did that opinion change?
During my pre-trial preparation,
When?
about 10 days ago.
You authored a new report,
I gave you an addendum.
an addendum, a correction to the mistakes in that first report. Do you remember when you authored that report? You have a copy with you? Would it refresh your recollection to
June
see?
5th
June 5th of
this year.
this year.
Correct.
So 5 days ago.
Yes.
The first, as we started this trial, is when you changed your entire opinion on how the blood gets onto the bathroom door.
Yes. We're still dealing with drip patterns. It's just a matter of this more specific location.
Well, that was the same exact location that you had opined on both in your initial report and the deposition, correct?
Yes.
So it's not a new location, it's just a new opinion
Okay.
based on the same evidence. I'm asking you.
Yeah. Okay. A different opinion. Sure.
You'd agree with me that it does not appear there was any cleanup of blood on the ground or the walls inside of the bathroom.
There was not.
What we're seeing in the bathroom, some of what you had gone through with Mr. Wiggins,
Yeah, Chris,
you
yes.
said was diluted blood.
4 years later,
3571,
he changed his mind.
3365, 3371, 3373. Seeing photographs of the shower area, shower handle, shower floor, bathroom sink.
That's correct.
Okay. It would be reasonable to believe that the diluted blood on the bathroom sink is coming from the shower. Somebody who had blood on them attempting to wash it off,
That is correct.
as opposed to blood dripped or deposited from an actively bleeding person walking around the bathroom.
There's no evidence of any actively bleeding person walking around the bathroom.
The general lack of blood in the bathroom would indicate to you that the infliction of the injury did not occur in that room, correct?
Let's just say bloodshed did not occur as a result of that injury in the bathroom.
So no evidence indicates to you that the injury occurred in the bathroom.
That's correct.
The blood that we talked about in the bedroom, in that little hallway between the bedroom and the bathroom, as you said earlier, looking at 3346, 3347, this is blood that was deposited from a bleeding individual and then cleaned up.
That is correct.
So that's not indicating to you that the injury occurred in the bedroom either.
It does not.
It's your opinion that the wiping of the blood in the bedroom area begins at the bathroom door and goes out. So we're starting here at the bedroom door threshold and then cleaning outwards.
Yes, more or less. Yes. That was my opinion.
Part of your expert opinion today is that the blood found in the front door handle, I'm looking at 3281, 3282, is coming from Ms. Redlick.
I'm sorry. It comes.
Is coming from Mrs. Redlick, Danielle Redlick, not Mr.
That would be a strong possibility, but the blood wasn't tested, so I can't be absolutely certain of that.
So your analysis, the rationale for your expert opinion on that blood coming from Mrs. Redlick is that you've seen photographs of her outside with bleeding wrists, correct?
It's most likely from her.
So everything in this case is consistent with the wound not occurring in the bathroom, not occurring in the bedroom. You agree with that?
As far as I can tell, yes.
You agree that at some point after sustaining his injury, the bloodletting injury as you described it, Michael Redlick walked into the bedroom, walked at least to the door of the bathroom,
Good morning, Mike.
and then came back out to his resting place in the living room, correct?
Correct.
And that's evidence that you can find through blood evidence and common sense, right?
Yes.
So there's no evidence that the body was dragged, moved, or in other ways from in here to out here.
Not that I could see.
And the other locations where you're finding blood or evidence of blood having existed in the foyer area, and then over here towards the kitchen, right?
Yes.
So these other areas, we're not finding any blood evidence to indicate that anything was occurring in there.
Are you talking about the family room and all those other areas?
I'm talking about, yes, master bedroom, outside, dining room, family area, the kids' bedroom, the other bathroom, laundry room.
Correct.
You said earlier that even when there's not alteration, you can't always determine sequencing, right?
I'm sorry?
You had said earlier on direct and then I believe on cross that even when there is no alteration, you cannot always determine sequencing.
Correct. It depends on the type of patterns you see.
You cannot opine on how long Mr. Redlick is walking around for after sustaining the injury, correct?
I have no opinion about that because that has to do with blood loss and
Here she is to say, but you wait, hello. Hello, Grit. She's here to say hello to you all, beautiful people. Pwy ti gweud? Ti'n enw i pobl? Ti'n enw i pobl? Ti'n gweud Jonathan? Ti'n gweud Jonathan? Hello, Jonathan. Ti'n gweud hello, Sarah? Ti'n shy? She's shy. She's shy. Oh! He is shy. But she's a little bit ill. But she's been grumpy most of the day. But she's fine now. For a couple of minutes with her bells. Good George! She's saying, look at my feet. She says, look at my feet. Right, beth ti'n gweithio there? Oh! She's throwing you all kisses. Ti'n joio? She enjoys it. There we are. Ah. A couple months. Ble mae trwy'n ti there? That's a nose. Where's your tongue? Ble mae tafod ti? Where is your ear? Ble mae pistyn? Where is your eyes? Ble mae llygyd ti? Da iawn. Where's your cheeks? Ble mae boch ti? Ie, boch ti hwnna, dwi e? Where's your hair? Ble mae gwallt ti? And a ponytail?
Yeah.
Ponytail. Ti'n gweud hello? Gweud hello, pawb. Hello, pawb, gweud. There she is, waving at everyone. Oh, ti'n iawn? Look at her dancing, she gets the moves from me.
Oh.
Wow, wow, wow. She's looking forward to Father Christmas coming now. Santa Claus, isn't it? She's been a good girl. Ti'n bod bach ddaw ti? Yeah, she's been a very good girl this year. So she's going to be four. Ti'n know pedwar? Beth yw oedran ti'n mynd i fod? Pedwar, fe? How old are you going to be next? Go fel ande? She's trying to learn how to do 1, 2, 3. Fel ande? Yay! Pedwar.
I'm still a tree.
Yeah, down 3. She's still 3, but she's going to be 4 in January. Yeah!
Yeah.
She's learning how to count. Well, she can count. Yeah, she's doing good for her age. because essentially she gets treated like, a princess. She gets lots of attention. So she learns a lot. Right. Ti dost. She's ill. You ill? Ti dost. Yeah. She's a little bit ill, but she feels better when she's been here now. Ti'n hapus? Happy? Hapus? Right. Ti'n mynd i gweld mae gyd e? Na! Monkey! It's you! She's playing with beard earlier on. She's been sleeping a little bit. But she's okay now, isn't he? She's okay now, isn't it?
Cookie. Cookie.
Trust what Super does there. No. I was asking, you going to give him a good does a kiss? No. Right. I think everyone's had enough now. Paul, because you go now. When we know what's your video.
My mum asked for them.
Okay, someone else for them back. She's going to wait here for a little bit, okay, with us. So, hang on. She's going to watch this with us, so hang on. Bear with me, everyone, whilst I set it up.
Huh?
That sound.
And survivability, and I'm in no position to talk about that. It's the venue of the forensic pathologist.
You can't opine on how long he's alive after sustaining the wounds.
I would say to give you the same answer. It's the venue of the forensic pathologist, if he can even make that determination.
You cannot opine on time of death.
Same answer.
So your expert opinion in this case, as Mr. Wiggins had asked you, was limited to 2 key points. Number 1, that there was a cleanup attempt of the blood in the home, that somebody had cleaned up the blood after it was deposited.
That is the major point I was making, yes.
And number 2, that the cleanup materially impacted your ability to offer reconstruction testimony.
That is correct.
The blood analysis, the evidence of the case, blood in the kitchen doorway, blood in the foyer, blood going from here to here, and back to where the body rests.
Correct.
That's all evidence that you were able to see yourself from what we have.
Yes,
Correct?
and that's what I testified about.
Blood evidence analysis is not ever going to determine why somebody was stabbed or why somebody obtained the injuries that they did, correct?
No, bloodstain evidence can sometimes determine what happened, but not why.
So certainly why somebody stabbed someone is not something you'd ever be able to speak to.
I would never consider that in a bloodstain pattern case.
Nothing further on.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wiggins.
Mr. James, is the presence of impact spatter the only means by which you're able to determine the location of an attack or the location of a stab?
No, it's not.
There are other characteristic patterns that could allow you to draw those conclusions.
Yes.
So the absence of impact spatter in this case is not determinative in that point.
It's not the determining factor.
The determining factor of your complete inability to determine the location of where this attack occurred is because of the cleanup.
Is because what?
Because of the cleanup.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the correction that you made to your opinion as it relates to this area. Can you explain for the jury, you were talking about the floors and some confusion or some misunderstanding relative to the floors, and maybe you could use your laser pointer and just help them understand where the misunderstanding originated from and how that connects to the floors.
Well, it started with the fact that north and south were mixed up, and this let's see here. It became very clear that the satellite spatter continued onto the entire frame of the door, so the door had to be closed.
Okay. So did you initially think that that broken piece of, when you looked at that close-up photo, that broken piece was sitting on the outside of the bathroom?
Yes, it was corrected. It was on the inside.
Upon closer inspection during your pretrial preparation, you realized that it was on the inside.
Yes, that's correct.
And therefore, you realized that it would be impossible for the door, if it was closed, for that area to be exposed and therefore sustain that satellite spatter.
Yes, that was the rationale.
Now, I want to try to have some clarity on this point. Mr. Parnell asked you some questions relative to the I think we was talking about this area. Can you say definitively one way or another that the attack did or did not occur here?
You cannot say.
Okay. Could one be maybe more possible than the other? You do not possess sufficient information to be definitive in any shape, manner, or form.
Right. I think I was asked at some point during my deposition, could I make a educated guess? And I told, my response to that at the time was,
Objection
I don't do that.
non-responsive as to the deposition aspect.
Hold on just a second. Objection's overruled. You may answer, sir.
Unable to even make an educated guess.
I'm sorry?
You're unable to even make an educated guess.
Yes, that's all I was saying, yes.
And again, that's because of how the scene was altered.
Well, plus I don't like to make educated guesses.
Well, then, a moment ago, it sounded like you agreed with Mr. Parnell that the attack didn't occur there. Did I misunderstand you, or did you
I
misunderstand?
just believe I said I saw no evidence there.
Okay, so the lack of evidence doesn't mean the presence of evidence. You're just saying there's not evidence, but that doesn't mean that you're not saying it didn't happen there.
Correct.
I have no further questions on this witness.
Mr. James, you may step down. You may step down. Thank you. Your next witness, Mr. Wiggins.
Your Honor, at this time, the state calls John Keene.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, I missed a little bit of that, obviously. Sorry about that, guys. My niece loves coming on TV, and I'm sure you prefer to see her than me. So I hope that was okay. And also, I trust all of you. So, what's right? Let me just put the name in here. Oh, what did you just say? She did say his name just now. John something, was it? John Keane? No, it wasn't something Keane, wasn't it? Oh, wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow.
solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Good afternoon, sir. Would you please state your full name for the record and spell your first and last name?
John Joseph King.
Can you spell your first and last name?
John, John, Keane, Keane.
Ms. Garcia?
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you please tell the jury where you currently live?
1230 Lake Knowles Circle, which is on the corner of Temple and Lake Knowles.
And how long have you lived in that location?
Very close to 40 years.
And who do you currently live there with?
My wife, Linda.
And is this close to 1234 Temple Drive?
Directly across the street.
And did you, what is your current occupation?
Retired now.
And what was your previous occupation?
My wife and I owned a fashion jewelry company for 35 years.
Now, at that address, and since you lived across from the 1234 Temple Drive, did you ever know Michael and Danielle Redlick?
Yes.
And when or how did you know them?
Well, they were neighbors across the street. Primarily, it was a social situation where when we walked our dogs, we said hello and that type of thing.
And do you remember when the Redlicks moved in? Do you remember when they moved in?
It was
No,
probably
Jonathan.
somewhere in the mid 2014, 15, somewhere in that vicinity.
So you were neighbors with them from the point that they moved in, is that
Good,
right?
Tim. Good. Good.
And
Chris.
could you describe your relationship with the Redlicks? How close were you?
We weren't close at all. We had never been in their house, and they had been in our house one time during that entire time.
Would you see them on occasion?
In walking the dogs and that type of thing, basically in a social situation.
Okay. And when you had an opportunity to see them walking the dogs, what were your observations of Michael and Danielle?
They were cordial, and that was pretty much it, with the exception of a couple instances when we looked across the street and realized there was a little friction between the two of them.
Okay. And when you said friction, could you describe who the friction was between?
There was one instance.
Well, without talking about a particular instance, could you describe who the friction was between?
Explain. I'm sorry.
You said that you saw friction between two individuals. Was that between Danielle and Michael?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
At any point in time, did you ever see or hear, did you ever hear any of that friction between Danielle and Michael?
Yes, on occasion.
Okay. And could you describe, because you said it was friction, could you describe that friction?
Yes, there was on one instance, there was a situation where Michael was coming out of the door, out of his front door, and Danielle was just behind him, screaming at him. He just.
So she was yelling at him?
Yes.
Okay. And did you see Michael yelling back at her?
No, actually, he was very, very quiet, and he eventually just went and got in his car and drove off. But he was extremely quiet.
So and now, at some point in time, did you become aware that Michael moved out of the house?
Yes, it was sometime during 2018, I think, probably in the early stages of the spring and that type of thing.
Now, did you ever see Michael after he moved out in the spring?
Again, he would come over to the house and pick up the kids for school and that type of thing. And I saw him walking. I don't even think he was walking the dog at that time, but he was there, cordial, quiet, and
Picked up the kids?
picked up the kids and then left.
Okay.
So
At some point in time, did Michael ever move back in?
he did. It was probably about the fall of 2018.
And when Michael moved back in, did everything seem to calm back down for a little bit?
Yes, it did. It was didn't see any friction, anything going on, but it seemed very, very quiet at that time.
When he initially moved back in?
And he was again playing baseball and basketball with his son and that type of thing. It just became very, very quiet.
One moment.
Jesus Christ. I don't know what to say. It's just like, I'm not even looking at the chat, trial, it's just a chat now. Jesus, boys.
So, Mr. King, you mentioned that there was a first incident. Without going into specifics, was there a second incident where you saw Danielle yelling at Michael?
There were numerous ones, actually. I can't remember the exact situation, but primarily they were in the same basis that I discussed there, and it came at different times during the day. One time it was in the morning.
Once again, not going into specifics. So you saw on multiple occasions Danielle yelling at Michael. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Michael not yelling back. Is that true?
No, he was very passive.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Parnell?
Yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Keene.
Were you?
Those occasions you just testified about were not on January 11th of 2019, were they?
No, they were not.
Nothing further.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. King. You may step down.
Thank you.
State.
Jesus, anyone watching this stream must think that we are just sexual something, I don't know. Nymphos. Right. I still think this is an interesting trial, even though the chat has taken us in another direction, but we will keep this trial going. Yeah, okay, but now we're an hour and a bit left. But we enjoy chat as it is. It's all good. We enjoy chat being the way it is. I laughed, Jonathan. I laughed. I must be honest. Da-da.
Good afternoon, Mr. Montgomery.
Afternoon, sir.
Would you please tell this jury where you're employed?
Certainly. I'm employed by the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I am an investigator with the Digital Forensics Unit. I've been there approximately 7 years. In addition to my full-time employment, I am also a reserve deputy with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, where I currently hold the rank of reserve captain. I've been doing that for approximately 14 years now.
What is your position within the Digital Forensics Unit at Orange County Sheriff's?
I'm a digital forensic investigator.
Are you the supervisor of the unit?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you have any training in the field of digital forensics?
Yes, sir, I do.
Why don't we walk through the training that you've received?
Certainly. I have a master's degree in digital forensics from the University of Central Florida, a master's degree in criminal justice, a graduate certificate in computer forensics, a graduate certificate in crime analysis, one in police leadership and one in correctional leadership. In addition to my academic career, I'm a certified forensic computer examiner through the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists, IACIS. I'm also a Celebrite certified mobile examiner, Celebrite, CELLEBRITE, certified mobile examiner. I am also a certified blacklight examiner. In addition to that, I'm also a peer review coach for the certification phase for the IASIS CFCE process, and I've served as a row coach during the training event for that organization. In addition to that, I've also attended the United States Secret Service National Computer Forensic Institute training for advanced mobile device examiner, vehicle forensics, advanced forensics techniques, network intrusion, forensic scripting. I've also attended the National White Collar Crime Center, basic data recovery and analysis, internet, advanced data recovery analysis, cell phone mapping, among other training. In addition, I've served as a guest lecturer at the University of Central Florida for their master's degree in digital forensics program.
Have you had previous opportunities to testify concerning the work and opinions that you've reached related to digital forensic extractions?
Yes, sir, I have. I've testified and been qualified as an expert in digital forensics in both state and federal court, in the Middle District of Florida, in Jacksonville and Orlando, and then in state court in the 2nd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, and 18th circuits.
Okay, so you do not work for the Winter Park Police Department?
No, sir, I do not.
Can you explain how it was that you actually became involved in performing a digital forensic extraction in this case?
Certainly. I had seen the news coverage of this crime. I was contacted by the state attorney's office back in February 5th of 2020 in reference to the iPhone that was at issue in this case. I arranged to meet with representatives of the Winter Park Police Department. I obtained that iPhone from them, and I then authored a search warrant allowing the Orange County Sheriff's Office to search that device. While we may have already had sufficient authority to conduct that search, I demurred and did write a second search warrant incorporating the affidavit that was authored by Winter Park.
Were you aware at the time that your assistance was requested that a digital forensic extraction had already been obtained from the phone?
Yes, sir, I was. Part of the reason why we wanted to conduct a second extraction was at the time it was originally extracted, technology did not allow for a full file system extraction of that device. There are multiple levels of extraction for a digital device, and the extraction that had previously been done would not have captured possibly deleted files.
I'm going to approach with what's in evidence as States 34. Detective Montgomery, I'd like you to go ahead and go inside States 34. You can pull out the, well, let me actually provide you with some gloves.
I have her.
And tell me if you recognize that as the device that was provided to you in connection with this case to perform this second digital forensic extraction.
No, they did cross him. They asked the question of, did this appear on January the 11th, the day that the murder happened, or whatever the date was? But that was the only question that they had.
Yes, I do, sir.
And how is it that you recognize it?
It has a piece of Orange County evidence tape on it, and additionally has a white file label in my exceedingly horrendous handwriting.
Were you able to obtain this sort of more hopefully comprehensive forensic extraction in this case?
Yes, sir.
Before we talk about that forensic extraction, I want to talk about another phone involved in this case. Were you aware that there was a second phone that was collected in evidence?
Yes, sir.
And you can go ahead and put the phone back inside. Leave the phones on, put them off. Thank you. Were you aware of a second phone that was collected in evidence?
Yes, sir, I was.
Was that phone provided to you for you to take a look at?
No, sir, it was not.
Can you explain why you didn't even bother taking that phone and trying to extract it?
The second phone at issue was a Google Pixel phone. I know both from personal experience and from reaching out to my colleagues that that device is a very secure device, A, and B, that there was no bypass at that time.
Okay. And you're aware, subsequent, the device was even sent to the Secret Service for them to attempt?
Yes, sir. And that was one of the sources at the time that I had consulted with.
Let's talk about the forensic extraction that you obtained from the cell phone that's in evidence. You mentioned some certification and experience with a technology called the Cellbrite device. Can you explain to the jury what the Cellbrite device is?
Certainly. The Cellbrite is a software and hardware package. It is both a physical device for extraction of data and also a analysis platform that's on my forensic computer. If you remember, several years ago, you'd go to the AT&T or Sprint store and you'd have your phone and you had all your good stuff on there and you wanted it on your new phone. They would take it in the back and they would plug it into a device and they put all of your data from your old phone onto your new phone and hand you back your new phone and say, have fun. My device is much like that, but mine just pulls the data down. It does not put any data onto the device.
Is that the technology that was used to obtain the forensic extraction in this case?
No, sir, it was not.
Okay, what was the technology that was used?
It was a advanced laboratory procedure that was, there was some intellectual property there, which I've signed a non-disclosure agreement as to.
Okay, so that technology was used to extract this device in the hopes that we could get that sort of deeper level of information.
Yes, sir. And subsequently, it is available to perform a full file system extraction through the Cellbrite, a full file system extraction through the Cellbrite product. At that time, it was not fully supported.
Understood. Let's talk about what you were able to, were you successful in obtaining this full file system extraction?
Yes, sir, I was.
What is the sort of product from this forensic extraction that you performed on Ms. Redlick's phone?
In this case, it was a zipped archive file. It takes all of the files and places them into one container and then zips it up. It is a very large binary file.
Is there software that is utilized then to kind of make all of this data readable and digestible by an analyst or a user such as myself?
Yes, sir. I was actually able to import it into the Cellbrite Physical Analyzer product, and it takes all of the ones and zeros, that binary information, and displays the call logs, the text messages, the photos, GPS data that are resident on that phone.
And one of the ways that all that data can be compiled is into a big giant PDF.
Yes, sir, a very large PDF.
So in this particular case, can you give the jury a sense of how large the PDF file, how many pages the PDF file, all of the data that was obtained?
It's approximately 40,000 pages. It's in excess of 40,000 pages. For a full file system extraction, I have never printed one out onto paper. I would love to know how tall a stack of paper that would be, but just the PDF itself is over 40,000 pages.
Can you take that 40,000 high stack and focus in on certain areas of interest and look at sort of discrete data sets?
Yes, sir. There is a table of contents which lists out the call logs, the chats, the contacts, and any images that might be on the device, web searches, web history, location data. And it actually, as a portion of the analysis, produces a timeline of all user events on that phone. So phone calls, text messages, and images that might have been taken in close proximity would show up in the timeline. And it shows a pattern of life and a pattern of activity for the user of that phone.
Prior to your testimony here today, did you have an opportunity to go through a number of exhibits that are culled from some of these various data sets you just referenced?
Yes, sir, I did.
Talk to the jury a little bit about how the technology allows for an assurance that the data that's being represented in an exhibit, like the ones that are going to be admitted into evidence, is in fact the data that was obtained from the phone.
Certainly. When the device is extracted, that zip file is run through a hash algorithm. You can think of it as a digital fingerprint for that data. If you change one of the binary ones or zeros within it, it will change that fingerprint for that file irrevocably. It will be completely different. Each time I open up the extraction, it runs a verification of that hash file against a stored hash value and says that these two match. that they have not changed since the time they were extracted.
As part of your preparation process, did you confirm that the data that has been produced in the form of the exhibits that the jury will review is in fact the actual data obtained from the phone?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay.
And in this case, the device, I had an unlocked password. I was able to perform what I would call a sanity check. I looked at the screen where I had physical analyzer up with the data, and then I looked at the call logs, and I went, these two coincide. Things that I can see on the phone, I can see in my extraction.
Talk about the recovery of deleted data. This technology allows for the possibility that if something is deleted on the phone, that you will recover it.
Yes, sir.
Is that foolproof?
No, sir, it is not.
Are there instances where you recover deleted data that maybe you didn't think you would ever recover?
Yes, sir, I have.
Are there instances where you don't recover deleted data that you maybe otherwise think would have been recovered?
Unfortunately, there are times when I'm looking for deleted data and I cannot get it. I cannot recover it. And that is an artifact of how phones store data. They store them into a SQLite database generally. And when you go and say, I no longer want this item, it's not gone. It's just been marked as this is no longer accessible. And if the data, a message or a call log is in a database, what it does is it goes, this record is no longer in use. It's still there for a period of time, hence the reason I can sometimes recover deleted items. Depending on user interactions and how that database is set up, though, often those free pages will get either vacuumed out of the database or reused, and then I can no longer recover that data.
So it's sort of a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes you're going to get it, sometimes you're not.
It's generally better than a crapshoot.
Okay, but sometimes it's there to be recovered, sometimes it's not, and you can't explain at the end of the day why you were successful or unsuccessful.
Correct, and it generally is based on how active the user of the phone is.
But
a phone
sometimes
that's used a lot will have items overwritten much quicker.
But sometimes that's not always the explanation.
Correct.
It can just sometimes not be there.
And it also is highly dependent on the application. Some applications are set to auto vacuum the database on a regular basis, and those items are no longer going to be available.
Okay, I'm going to approach you with a number of exhibits here. We'll do it like this. X for identification purposes. And can you tell me if this is an exhibit that you and I reviewed prior to testimony as in fact a fair and accurate depiction of the cover page and content report of this song?
Yes, sir. It's the first 4 pages of, as I mentioned, an over 40,000 page report.
Or this not a state secret movement evidence with marked X for identification purposes?
No objection. Sorry, Judge. No objection.
Okay, X will be admitted as the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 47.
I'm showing you what's marked as Y for identification purposes. Do you recognize states Y as an exhibit that we reviewed prior to your testimony? The excerpt of the device on-off data.
Yes, sir.
During this time, the state is moving evidence what has been marked as states Y for identification purposes.
Any objection?
No objection.
Y is admitted as the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 48.
What's marked as state Z for identification purposes? Do you recognize state Z as a exhibit that we reviewed prior to your testimony and is a fair and accurate depiction of the call log portion of the digital forensic extraction obtained?
Yes, sir. It's 3 pages of a call log.
It's a fair and accurate depiction of that?
It is a fair and accurate depiction.
Your Honor, this time state sequence was marked as state Z for identification purposes?
Any objection?
No objection.
Z will be admitted as the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 49.
I'm showing you what's marked as states AA for identification purposes. Do you recognize states AA as an excerpt from the email data set that we reviewed prior to your testimony? It is in fact a fair and accurate depiction of that portion of the email data set.
Yes, sir. It is a single email with some redacted information.
It's a fair and accurate depiction of the data you actually recovered.
Yes, sir. It
At
is a
this time,
subset.
the state sequence evidence was marked as states AA for identification purposes.
Any objection?
No objection to this, Judge.
AA is admitted as the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 50.
I'm showing you what's marked as states AB for identification purposes. Do you recognize states AB as an excerpt from the iMessage data set and it being the fair and accurate depiction of that data set?
Yes, sir. It's several pages of a conversation between this phone and a remote user.
Or at this time, the state is seeking movement evidence what's marked as states AB for identification purposes.
Any objection?
No objection.
AB will be admitted as the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 51.
I'm showing you what's marked as states AC for identification purposes. Do you recognize this to be a excerpt from the SMS message data set that was derived from this Redlick's phone?
Yes, sir. It's short message service, standard text messages.
Okay.
And it's an accurate representation of a portion of that data set within that much larger data set.
During this time, the state is seeking movement evidence what's marked as states AC.
Any objection?
No objection.
AC will be admitted as the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 52.
Detective Montgomery, I'm showing you what's marked as states AD. Do you recognize states AD as an exhibit that you and I reviewed prior to testimony and to be a fair and accurate depiction of some of the web history that was obtained from this phone?
Yes, sir. It's a portion of the web history.
During this time, the state is seeking movement evidence what's marked as states AD for identification purposes.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
AD will be admitted as the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 53.
And then lastly, I'm going to show you what's marked as states AE for identification purposes. Do you recognize this to be that thing you refer to as the timeline report, which is the compilation of a bunch of those different data sets all in one AP data?
There's two here. I believe these are possibly two different exhibits.
We'll come back to that. As states 47, the device contents of the garbage.
Yes.
All right, Detective Montgomery. Let's talk about the jury can learn from this review of this particular exhibit. Talk to the jury about the identifying information that's contained within this particular section.
So as part of the extraction, identifying information about the phone is extracted and then displayed in a table. And we can see here the Apple ID, which would be the iCloud account that's associated with this particular phone, a dandrohan@yahoo.com, an owner name, which is a name that the owner can assign to the device. The default is iPhone. In this case, it's Dan's, D-A-N-Z, iPhone. We also have the last used MSISTN. That is the phone number that's currently assigned to the device, 901-355-4234. A serial number. We also have an IMEI, which is the International Mobile Equipment Identifier. That is an IMEI, International Mobile Equipment Identifier, is a globally unique identifier for phones. Each phone has their own IMEI and is not duplicated across any other phones. It is to some extent, a fingerprint for that device. It's baked into the system.
Okay. Now let's sort of peruse the contents. And if we look and we're to go line by line, would the jury have some understanding of the sort of different data sets that make up that big 40,000 page report?
Certainly.
And help the jury understand why we see included on the report and deleted next.
So the included is the total number of items within that category. The deleted are the items which have been recovered from either a database as free pages or as a file that is no longer in use. So what that is indicating is for the application usage log, there's 7,508 total items, and of those, 18 of those were recovered from deleted space and were not at that point visible to the user. Call logs, we have 218 total calls. Of those, 2 were still stored in the database and had been deleted, and now were able to be recovered.
Okay. So let's look at the next page, continuation of this contents report. So we have an example here, web history. There was 134 entries and 116 deleted entries that actually were recovered.
Correct. A total of 1,034 web history data points. And of those, 116 of those had been deleted and were still stored in the database and accessible.
Now let's compare this to SMS messages. We have 332. Was your device successful in recovering deleted SMS messages?
No, I was not.
Now I want to look at what's in evidence as stage 49, the call log. Where I'd like to start, let's just kind of use line 11 as an example. Help the jury understand what it is we can understand from the appearance of this data within line 11.
Certainly. In the far left-hand column is the sequential numbering of those items. That is a artifact of the analysis platform. It tells you, it just rank orders them by date. We have a from, in this case, 317-501-1302. Below that, we have in blue with the star, we have the contact name that has actually been saved, that phone number has been saved as that JADY contact. You can keep your boyfriend, your girlfriend, wife, whatever. You can not have to type in their phone number each time. You can save them as a contact. In this case, that phone number has been saved as contact JADY. We have a direction as that was an incoming call, a time at 1/11/2019 at 4:38 p.m. And of note that UTC -5, time in the world starts in Greenwich, England. We are 5 hours off. So what that is saying is that that time has been corrected for local time. The next column over, we have duration. This is approximately a 47-second phone call that it was answered. And then the network name, in this case, it doesn't know the network. It doesn't know whether it's AT&T, T-Mobile. And that is an artifact of the fact that my forensic computer is disconnected from the real world. It is air-gapped. It lives on its own little network, and it can't go out and say, hey, whose network was this?
In all of the reports that we're going to see, we will often, if not always, see some sort of date and time record.
Yes, sir.
Will it always be the local time bureau name?
This is correct. As part of the extraction process, it identifies what time zone the phone believes itself to be in, and it will correct to that time. As I have a selection at the beginning, I can have it correct to the time for the phone. The way the phone actually stores the data is it stores it in Unix time in UTC, and then does an Unix, UNIX, natively, and then it does an offset to that to our local time. In this case, it is offset it to our local time 5 hours off.
Okay, moving to line 9, we see an example of what would be an incoming call from an individual who's saved the phone as Mike Mobile at 9:37:49. That is a duration of 000, so an answer.
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk about line 7. What do you see in line 7?
There's an attempt at an outgoing call to number 911911.
So does this mean the user dialed 911 and then hit send?
Yes.
And as a result, there was no connection.
There was no connection because that is not a valid number. The ordinal 911 is a valid number, as we all know. That 911 is not. It can't be routed by the telephone network.
The next call in the data set, that was at what time?
That was on January 11, 2019 at 10:52:14 p.m. Again, local time.
When is the next time the user of that phone decides to enter the numbers 911 into their handset?
It would be on the next morning, January 12, 2019, approximately 9:28:52 in the morning, once again, local time. And this time is an outgoing call for approximately 9 minutes and 28 seconds.
This time was successful?
Yes, sir.
Because they actually dialed a real number?
Correct.
Now I'm showing you what's in evidence as, I just didn't already say, a moving home smart to stage 5, the on-off report.
Oh, that's one more.
Publishing what's in evidence as stage 48. Can you tell the jury what this data set is? What do we know from looking at each one of these lines?
Certainly. And all apologies, I am a geek. Apple iPhones store so much data about everything we do with them. And part of that is a knowledge C database that can tell us when the display is on, when the display has been turned off. In this case, it's parsed out that database and shown each time the screen's lit up and then it's turned off.
Okay, so for example, if we look at this line 6306, we see that the display was on at 11:19 and 8:10:16, and then it registers off at 8:24:48.
Yes, sir, on January 11, 2019.
Okay, so let's look at this page, which is page 7561, and we're going to look at line 6374 and 6375. What does this tell us about the device's status at 10:50 and 16 seconds on January 11, 2019?
The display was turned on at approximately 10:50 p.m. and then was turned off at 10:52:04.
And do we see also some data related to some audio output?
Yes, sir.
Is this consistent with some sort of activity related to the actual phone?
Yes, sir.
Like a user interacting with the phone application?
Yes, sir. And the earpiece receiver.
Okay. Do we see, as we look through this particular page, continued evidence of the device being on and off through 10:53 and 10:54 on January 11, 2019?
Yes, sir. It shows a pattern of interaction between the user and the device on a regular basis.
And if we were to go line by line, are we going to, at page 4, 5, 7, 8, continue to see examples of a user of this device turning the display on and then turning it off through 10:54 all the way through 11:04 on this particular page?
Yes, sir. The display is turned on and off repeatedly.
Someone's continuing to interact with their phone.
Yes, sir.
And then that continues. We see another instance of it being on at 11:04 and off at 11:06.
Yes, sir.
These kind of come in pairs. We have it on and we have it off.
Yes, sir. And we have a duration that it's on and a duration that it's off.
So someone is the screen is active for 2 minutes between 11:04 and 11:06.
Yes, sir. Approximately 2 minutes.
Do we see that activity resumes on the phone, so the device is turned back on, or is actually on again at 11:52?
11:52:08. It's on for approximately 2 minutes.
And then we have it on again, or it goes off, and then the next time someone again is turning on their screen, and now it's past midnight on the 19th, and they're back on their phone.
On the 12th.
I'm sorry, on the 12th of 2019.
Yes, sir.
After midnight on the phone for about 4 minutes.
Correct.
Okay, and does that continue, or we see another instance of the device being utilized at 12:26?
12:26 for a little under 2 minutes.
And again at 12:28.
Yes, sir.
Talk to the jury a little bit about what we now know from the data that the user of the phone does at about 12:28.
Well, in line 6405, we have a start time and an end time for a display on. In between, and then we have a display off at about 12:28. In between that, the phone is actually recorded that it was plugged into a charger at approximately 12:27, and it stays on the charger until approximately 7:20 a.m.
Do we have evidence that the user is continuing to interact with their device while on the charger?
Yes, sir. We see the display going off and then going back on at 12:31 a.m. on January 12, 2019. It's used for a period of time. Display goes back off.
This continues.
We have a pattern of use 12:32 a.m. till 12:33. Display goes off for approximately 10 minutes. Display is back on. Display goes off, and then we have that 7:20 in the morning on 1/12/2019.
So we have a kind of off period where it's been in use
through the night.
11 and 12 o'clock to 12:43 in the morning on January 12th, and then the display goes off.
The display goes off.
And then when do we see the display come back on?
Display comes back on at 7:20. That's coincident with the device. It actually shows that it was unplugged from a charger. And prior to that, we see a duration on line 6414 between 7:20 and 7:26 a.m. The display goes off. 7:26 is off for a few moments. Comes back on at 7:32 a.m. For a few seconds. Goes off for about 13 minutes. Is back on for 2 minutes. Off for 6-ish minutes, and then back on for a very short period of time.
Okay, so continuing to be on and off all through the 7 o'clock hour once it's picked up.
Yes, sir.
And that continues into the 8 o'clock hour. We see it again at, well, let me just make sure. Our last data point. We have display going on at 8:40. Then going off, and then we see more activity through this 8:40 and 8:50.
Yes, sir.
And again, more activity, display on and off. Now the clock's at 9 o'clock in the morning.
9:02 a.m. It's on for approximately 2 minutes. It's off for approximately 6 minutes. It's on for approximately 4 minutes on line 6447. Up through 9:14, displays off on line 6448.
And it continues.
And the display is on for a short period of time. Display is off again at 9:14 through 9:15:24. It's back on for 4 seconds on line 6451. It's off for a few seconds. It's on, and then the display is off from 9:15:56 through 9:16:16. Interestingly, 6455, it actually says that it's tilted to landscape. So it's like, rather than up and down, it's in, and then it's tilted back to portrait mode, straight up and down again.
So this data is so granular, we actually know how the phone is being manipulated in space.
Correct.
Okay. And we also know the phone continues to go on and off, consistent use.
Yes.
And that behavior continues in the 9 o'clock hours. We see beginning on line 6462.
Yes, sir. Display is off, and then it turns back on for a little under a minute, then back off, and we're back on. It's off again. Display is on for a few seconds. This continues 9:19, 9:20. Display is on from 9:20:44 through 9:22:16, a little under 2 minutes.
And then line 6475, display comes back on at 9:24.
Yes, sir. It's on for a little under 2 minutes. And we continue with the displays on and off. Display goes off at 9:28, comes back on at 9:28:36. Display is off for approximately 10 minutes. And then from 9:28 through 9:38, we see that audio output, the earpiece is active.
So this is consistent with now someone actually making
Utilizing the phone to make a phone call.
And from your review of the data, exhibit evidence, does this sort of correspond to that connected network?
Yes, sir. The times are co-occurring.
Anything about this device that would have prevented it from making a phone call and all that time?
There is nothing. Additionally, during my analysis, I see that the phone is in active use. There are other data points that show that the phone was being used for things other than phone calls.
Okay. I'm showing you what's in evidence in stage 50. Do you see this? Tell the jury what this is.
This is a portion of the email content store. We're able to extract the date and time, who the email is from. In this case, it's that same iCloud account, dandrohan@yahoo.com, with a full name of Danielle Drohan. We have an external recipient, an Redlick@yahoo.com. It's an outgoing message and appears to be a forward titled "Stuff I'm Thinking About."
What's in evidence at stage 52? What is this data set?
It's a portion of the short message service or text messages. These are one-to-one messages. If I send you a single message with no attachment, just text, that's a SMS message.
If a iPhone user is messaging let's say a person who owns a Pixel phone, is it going to be the SMS data set?
Yes,
Okay, well.
The Apple iPhone supports a one-to-one messaging system between Apples called iMessage, but that does not extend to a device like a Pixel device, an Android, or a feature phone. Those would be either simple message services, a one-to-one between two individuals, or multimedia service messages, one to multiple, or one with a picture or a file attached.
And you, in fact, found record of SMS messages existing on Ms. Redlick's phone?
Yes, sir, I did.
332 of them?
Yes, sir.
Did you find a single SMS message between Ms. Redlick's phone and the contact that she has saved as Mike Mobile?
No, I did not.
I'm showing you what's in evidence in stage 51. What is stage 51?
This is a series of conversations between two participants, and it's between a Danielle which would be the owner of, listed as owners of the device, that 901-355-4234, and a contact with phone number 407-399-1749, which has been saved as Ryan's mom, Marcia.
And let's look at some of the messages that were sent. Can you say, specify what time these messages are being sent?
Yes, sir. We actually have, these are outgoing messages from the phone with user Danielle. We actually have a time it was sent, a time it was delivered, and a time that was read on the other end. So for instance, there's a, hey there, hope you guys holidays were going great. That was actually delivered on December 30th, 2018 at 5:50 p.m. and it was read on the other end at approximately 9:18 p.m.
All right, let's go ahead and just read through the series of messages that are sent from the sidebar.
Certainly. Hey there, hope you guys holidays are going great. I know you guys are in Vermont now enjoying snow and family time. We have the sent time down at the bottom, 12/30/2018 at 5:50 and 49 seconds p.m., a delivered time a few seconds later. Wanted to run something by you. In February, Mike has a conference in Vegas and he wants me to go with. My fave, Van Morrison, happens to be playing too, and he's tempting every day to go with. It was sent 12/30/2018, 5:52 p.m., delivery date, delivery time a second later, and then read on that external device, the Marcia's mom device at 9:18 p.m.
Okay, continuing.
Anyway, without family here, would need to work out something for Sawyer, 12/30/2018, 5:53:58 p.m. sent, a delivered time at that same time, and then read on that remote device at 9:18 p.m. Sorry about all the text, so not to put you on the spot while you're out of town. Sent 5:57 p.m., delivered a few seconds later at 5:57:33, and read on the other end at 9:18 p.m.
That conversation within that time frame
Continues 5:59 p.m., 6:05 p.m., 6:06 p.m.
Go ahead and read the text into the record.
Certainly. The Browns would help us with Sawyer, and of course, Sawyer's fave is always Rhino, so we asked if we could ask you guys too. Sent 12/30/2018, 5:59 p.m., 39 seconds, delivered at 5:59:47 seconds on December 30th, 2018, and read by the remote user 12/30/2018 at 9:18 and 08 p.m. December 30th, 2018, 9:18.
You can forego the dates and times for this one. I just want to read the text.
Dates are leaving Friday, February 8th, and returning prob Tuesday the 12th. Again, the Brown family can help too. I know it's a big ask, and normally I would just stay home, but Mike is pushing and frankly sounds fun. LOL. Don't worry if you guys can't help out. We're close with our sweet neighbor. She would, but not as cool a deal for Soy. Okay, officially going to stop blowing up your phone now. Sorry. Enjoy your vacay and Happy New Year.
Okay. Let's.
Of note during that exchange is you'll see that the read time is all at approximately 9:18 p.m. on December 30th. Like these had been sent, delivered, and we're sitting in the inbox waiting to be read by that remote user.
And that response makes that clear.
Correct. We have a sent on the response at 9:19, approximately 1 minute after they were read.
Okay, so then let's look at the next set of messages is on page 3431. Is there another conversation that is initiated by the Ryan's mom, Marcia, contact on 1/11/2019 at 4:07?
Yes, there was a, can we take Sawyer home after game from that Ryan's mom, Marcia contact? It has a sent time on January 11, 2019 at approximately 4:07 p.m. and a read time on January 11, 2019 at approximately 6:06 p.m.
Okay, and that conversation continues for a sleepover, then we bring home and home.
Yes, sir.
Into the game tomorrow. Okay. And does the user of Danielle's phone respond at 6:06? Sure, I'll bring that in.
Yes, sir.
Great. All right, now let's look at the next time that the user of Danielle Redlick's phone reaches out to this contact. Can you read the date and time and text itself?
Can Sawyer stay after game with you for a while? If not, he can be dropped at Brian Brown's house. I'm sorry, we have an emergency and kids need to be looked after. It was sent on January 12th, 2019 at 10:23 a.m.
This data set is, which is evidence at state 50.
This is a portion of the web history that was stored on the device. Each time you go out and access a web page, it's recording that data.
And when we say a portion in this particular case, we're not picking and choosing certain websites. It's just from one date to another and everything in between.
Yes, sir. This small extract is relatively voluminous, and it's in the reverse date order. So as you go back there, those are older items.
All right, so then we will go back. And we'll go back to line 919. What do we see evidence of?
We see a Google search for mindfulness dating apps. We can tell that it's a search because we see worldwideweb.google.com / and then the question is mindfulness plus dating plus app. That's on 12/5/2018 at 11:38 a.m. And it's using the Safari browser, which comes with the iPhone.
And I'm showing you. Actually, okay. We'll look at this page. And we begin to see in this time period the user of this particular device accessing a website referred to as meetmindful.com.
Yes, sir. On 12/7/2018 at approximately 1:10 p.m., line 908. I believe there's actually one below that. And we see a progression through that website, going to conversations, to settings, to a member profile there that has the name Danielle attached to it.
We'll just go to a random page really at this point. Page 7676, do we see this Meet Mindful searching and browsing activity on the 8th and then into the 9th?
Yes, sir. It appears as if the user of the phone is accessing a website, meetmindful.com, and then going through other user profiles. From prior investigations, Meet Mindful is a type of dating app.
Okay, and then this behavior or this activity, again, we're not removing anything.
No, sir. These are in, as you can see in the left-hand column, we've got them in rank order as to time. This is just all of the data that's there.
Okay, so we see more activity of the user, meetmindful.com, ending in Danielle at 7:32 on the 10th of December.
Yes, sir. And of note, these are all active records within that database.
What is that?
It means that they would have been able to be seen by the user if they went to look at their history.
Okay. And if we were to look through every single page, we see activity on the 13th. We can just jump to, we see again the 15th.
Yes, sir.
And we'll go to, we'll jump ahead quite a bit. We'll look at line 725. We see examples here on the 15th of the user going to the app or the website Mindful and looking at conversations related the URL and mark on it.
Yes, sir. Approximately 3:13 p.m.
Okay. So we can go to line 680. We see more activity on the 16th related to conversations with this URL ending with mark.
Yes, sir.
So moving forward again some more, line 630, we see additional activity on the 18th of December on this Meet Mindful website.
Yes, sir. There's a series of conversations with a user, Michael, and then line 640, 641, we have a conversation with a Mark, user ID 452484.
Go to line 448. We see additional Meet Mindful activity on Christmas Day.
Yes, sir. 12/25/2018 at approximately 8:17 and 40 seconds p.m. And that is local time.
And we'll go to line 304. We see additional Be Mindful activity New Year's Eve?
Yes, sir. Starting at 12 p.m., continuing on, we have a conversation with that Mark profile at 8:09 p.m.
Okay. So then let's look, we're going to go all the way forward. We're going to look at the activity that takes place on line 624, moving into January 11th, 2019. Do we see more activity on this Meet Mindful website on line 27?
Yes, sir. On page 7624, line 27, we have Meet Mindful, sign up, log in, looking at members on January 11, 2019 at approximately 8:38 a.m. It's like as a progression through the website. You can see someone signing in, accessing a conversation with that same Mark profile 452484, accessing a conversation with a Greg 273826, continuing through the conversations through 7:22 a.m.
Let's talk about line 17.
Yes, sir.
Is this consistent with the user of this device re-engaging with the Meet Mindful application at 7:22 in 25 seconds local time here in Orlando on the 12th of January, 2019?
Yes, sir. This is that same meetmindful.com application website that we've seen a continued conversation since the end of 2018 on Christmas Day, on New Year's Eve, and now they're still accessing that same website on January 12th, 2019 at 7:22 a.m.
We see their focus change immediately thereafter.
A few seconds later, approximately 14 seconds later, we see a Google search, google.com/search, the question being slitting and wrists.
That type of searching continues.
We have another search a few moments later, at 45 seconds after 7:22. And then we have a website access to Quora.com, how do you slit your wrists, at 7:24 a.m., 55. And then we have later on at 8:21 a.m., we have another Google search. How long before you die if slit your wrists? Search question, how plus long plus before plus you plus die, if plus slit plus your wrist. And then another 1/12/2019 at 8:21 and 40 seconds with that same search term.
And does that activity continue in the line 5 and 4?
Line 5, we see going to that same Quora.com website. How long does it take to bleed to death after slitting your wrists? And then on line 4, we have that same one, 1/12/2019 at 8:21 and 50 seconds. And then it appears that the focus of the user changes.
Detective Montgomery, I'm showing you what's marked as states 8E for identification purposes. That's the exhibit that we got a little sidetracked on. That's the timeline exhibit that brings all of these data sets together. So I see all these different activities on the phone data on a sequential basis.
Yes, sir. It's approximately 18 pages of a much longer data set.
Is a fair and accurate depiction of that data set?
Yes, sir. It's a fair and accurate depiction of a subset of that timeline data.
At this time, Your Honor, the state will seek to move in evidence what's marked as states 8E for identification purposes.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
AE is the next numbered exhibit.
State Exhibit 54.
Once again, Detective Montgomery, this exhibit contains all of the entries between start date and end date. There's not things that have been selected.
Yes, sir. This aggregates data from multiple data sets and puts it into one timeline. It's probably one of the if they take photos, etc.
Let's kind of talk about an example that we see here. Do we see multiple data sets all kind of laid out together, as well as some metadata that helps you learn some more about maybe where a phone was when it's doing certain things?
Yes, sir. We have application usage, which tracks when a device application is used. We have the on line 47845, we have the com.apple.camera. That's the camera application within the Apple device. It was used on January 11, 2019, in approximately 8:45 and 50 seconds.
Did I ask you to take that latitude and longitude to try to see where that device was when it was capturing those photos?
Yes, sir. Immediately after that, we have a video that's captured, and then we also have an image that's captured at 8:45 and 53 seconds, IMG_1932.HEIC, GPS location 28.59, 5080, -81.36, certainly, 28.595, negative 81 361 795. I apologize, I drink a lot of coffee. That location, when plotted, is in the city of Winter Park in Orange County. It geolocates near the Winter Park Event Center.
Where's the football field?
Yes, sir. There's a series of football fields. I actually drove by there a few days ago, going to a restaurant, and commented at the location.
I want to show you page 11447. We see, what do we see at line 74795?
We have an outgoing message between the Danielle phone 901-355-4234 and a user that's saved in the device as JADY, phone number 317-501-1302. The text message was sent on January 11, 2019 at approximately 9:42 p.m. The text was at Mickey D's again, thinking of you, aren't you answering your phone?
Help the jury understand what you're able to discern from these application usage logs that follow.
What this is tracking is on the layer below where the user can see. The Apple is actually tracking each time you open an application. As we saw earlier, it's tracking when the screen gets turned on and off. Additionally, it's tracking using we see in this application usage log within the com.apple.mobile SMS.spotlight plist. We see that the mobile SMS application is selected on January 11, 2019, at approximately 9:42 p.m. It is in use through 9:43:33, and then we can see again at 9:44, and then the user focus changes to the com.facebook.facebook, the Facebook application.
Okay, so to kind of make it less technical for me and maybe some other folks, if I were to go into my phone and I were to hit this button right here and pull up my messages, that's the type of data that's going to get recorded.
Yes, sir. It would show within this backend database that you had selected to use your messages application, and then it would show that it was in use.
Okay. So this shows that someone is interacting within that mobile messaging platform on an iPhone device.
Yes, sir, it does.
I want to jump to page 1149. Are we now kind of looking at some previous data that we saw and some new data synthesized in this timeline for us?
Yes, sir. We see on line 48007 that the user accesses the mobile phone or the phone application. We see that attempted phone call on January 11, 2019, 10:52 p.m. approximately to that 911 phone number with a duration of 0 seconds.
Okay. And do we see here evidence that after that 911 dial occurred, that the user is interacting with their SMS mobile platform?
Yes, sir. We see up through 11:52 p.m. We see the spotlight data that application has been brought to the front and is in use.
With this particular timeline, it is not such that it's showing every possible. It's not drawing upon every possible data set in this particular report. There could be other activities, other things that are going on in the phone that maybe isn't represented in this timeline particular data set.
What this is doing is pulling everything with a date and time assigned to it and putting it in rank order.
Okay, so it's got a date and time, but there could be other phone activities that don't get a date.
Correct. For example, deleted items may no longer have a date and time, so we wouldn't be able to rank order them anymore.
You did not see any, so we know the user of the phone is interacting with their SMS messaging
That's correct.
application. You did not see any outgoing or incoming messages during, for instance, this time period 11:04, 11:06.
No, there was a relatively small amount of messages that were saved on this device.
If I were to be deleting my messages at, let's say, 11:04, would this be the type of entry that would be reflected?
It would be indicative or be consistent with messages being deleted.
It could be just as consistent with looking at messages.
Correct.
But if I were to go in and delete, we get a log like this.
Yes, sir. It is one highly likely reason why we would see this kind of activity, but we would not see messages.
And so do we now kind of, if we wanted to review and see all this activity synthesized in one data set, Meet Mindful, slitting wrists in 722?
Yes, sir. Visiting the Meet Mindful, we have a search term. We have a cookie being put on the device by the Meet Mindful website.
So we see everything that's got a date, time attached to it, all the way through this time period, the searches, the applications that Ms. Redlick was going into.
Yes, sir.
What do we see as far as activity right there in 921, all these widget activities that show up?
The device is being accessed, and then we see that the news widget is accessed, the Today view, and then around 924, we see the mobile phone application being accessed.
So is this consistent with someone, they go on your iPhone and swipe over and there's that Apple?
Yes, sir. Depending on where that widget might be located, that would be indicative of that.
We see all the way through that 911 call.
At approximately 9:28 a.m. on January 12th, 2019.
I have no further questions at this point.
Okay. Let's call it a day today. It's 5:10. Is it long?
No, Judge, it won't be long.
Like 5 minutes?
I'm sorry,
5 minutes?
less than 10.
Come up. Y'all come up. I have been promised that it would be less than 10 minutes. I'm holding the attorneys to that promise. So it's 5:15. At 5:25, I expect to say goodnight, have a good weekend, stay safe. So let's see how we go. Mr. Parnell, you ready?
I'm getting there, Judge.
All right.
Attorney Montgomery, good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Total number of pages in the extraction report, do you recall?
40,269, I believe.
40,000. How many texts were in there as part of that?
There were recovered approximately 232, I believe.
Emails? Do you remember how many emails?
I would have to look back. If I can
Hey,
refresh.
Maxine.
the contents.
How would you, Maxie?
19,546.
19,000 emails?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I misspoke. SMS messages is 332,
Is that you?
likely.
You hit that mute button.
I don't have it. It's in my bag. Am I set down?
Sure, this is a first for me, yeah.
Oh, it's-
My apologies, Your Honor.
Oh, no worries. I'm just glad you didn't answer it. You didn't answer it and say, hey, how you doing? So that was good.
I know you well enough to know that that would not be looked on favorably.
It would have been slightly ugly. Mr.
As per
Parnell, you
witness,
ready?
Your Honor. Showing opposing counsel what we have as G and H defense identification. You recognize what I'm showing?
Yes, sir. We had an email conversation, and this is a extract from that 40,000 pages. It is a fair and accurate representation of a series of messages between Danielle.
You don't need to tell me who the recipients are, but it's an accurate and fair depiction of the messages in the extraction report.
Yes, sir. It's a portion of those conversations.
Okay, and for our purposes, that is defense G. Looking at defense H, same question. Do you recognize what defense H is?
Yes, sir. It's a portion of a conversation between two individuals.
Can you tell me the page numbers for these two exhibits?
Certainly.
Just the starting page number for G.
3,400 and
For H.
3413, and then 3629, ending for this extract on 3634.
The date and time in these messages, is that accurate, adjusted for Eastern time?
Yes, sir, it is.
So the Meet Mindful app that we just saw, that is in the Safari web browser app, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's not an app that she downloaded on her phone, according to this extraction report, where you can download a Facebook app, you can download another app. It's separate. It's in the Safari browser. She opens it up and goes to a website, and that's a website that she was seeing.
Yes, sir.
See here is line number 17. This is going to be State Exhibit 53, the web history report. Line 17. Got 7:22:25 a.m. is when she was getting into Meet Mindful app.
Yes, sir.
And the last web history usage prior to that on January 12th, 7:22 in the morning, is on January 11th at 3:24 in the afternoon.
Yes, sir.
So what this shows is that the Safari app is not being used between 3:22 on January 11th and 7:22, 3:24 on the 11th, and 7:22 on the 12th.
That is correct.
State Exhibit 54, so I'm showing them this now. At this same time, line 48050, 112/2019, 7:22 a.m. to Meet Mindful, where it says last visited. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
So what that indicates to you is that the user of this phone, presumably Ms. Redlick, is on her Safari app on the afternoon of January 11th. She closes the app, but does not close the website. She then opens Safari app again on the morning of January 12th. It opens directly to the last page she had visited, and then 13 seconds later, she's on Google, Googling how to slit a wrist.
Don't believe that that's what the web history shows.
Showing the web history, let me show you again. So in this timeline, on 17 here, 7:22:25,
Yes, sir.
she's opened the app,
She's opening Safari.
Safari, and it goes to the Meet Mindful.
That is, we cannot tell whether the application closed that session or not. That's not something that can be seen from that data. We cannot say whether that is closing the website or reopening it.
It shows it going to the last visited,
Yes, sir.
but it does not show that every other time that it's going to a new website where it says accessed.
Correct. Correct. All we can say is that it was last visited on that date at that time.
And you're familiar with iPhones, I would assume,
Yes, sir.
based on your testimony. If I pull up my iPhone, I go to Safari, I go to whatever website it may be. I don't close out the actual website, I just close out the app.
Yes, sir.
I go do something else, I come back, I hit the Safari app, it loads it back up onto the same website I was last on.
Yes, sir.
And that's what's happened here.
That is not what that is what is happening for the user experience. That is not what you're seeing here, though. What you're seeing here is just that it's a discrete data point.
So what it's showing, again, is that after she had accessed the Safari, the next time you see Safari being accessed on that phone usage report,
Yes,
the
sir.
web history, the next time, I've shown it a couple times.
7:22 a.m. Yes.
Right, so
But I
from
can't
3
tell- I
o'clock,
can't tell you whether that website was actually accessed or if it was just an incidental glimpse when you opened it up.
so you can't say that she took the time to type in meetmindful.com and go to that.
That is
website.
correct, sir.
And the evidence does not show that.
Correct.
So the evidence does show is that 12 seconds, 13 seconds after she's opening up Safari, she's on Google deciding how to slit your wrist.
Yes, sir.
And the Safari app can have several open windows at once.
Yes, sir. It can do tabs.
You do not have anything in the phone about her being on an app for Meet Mindful. It was only through the Safari.
Yes, sir.
So not a separate app. That's not in there anywhere.
Correct.
And again, you went through all the times with Mr. Wiggins that she was on the Meet Mindful from December up until January 11th.
That the user was accessing Meet Mindful using the Safari browser.
from the time of 10 o'clock on the night of the 11th until 9:30 on the morning of the 12th, can you tell me how many times she's in Meet Mindful?
From 10 o'clock, you said?
Let's say 10 o'clock p.m. on the night of January 11th.
The last time we see the use of the Meet Mindful is actually 3:24 p.m. It's used previous to that at 10:32 a.m.
On the 11th.
Yes, sir.
So the
And
night of the 11th, she's not on the app.
no, sir.
She's not on Meet Mindful.
The last use is indicated as being 3:24 p.m.
The only usage of Meet Mindful in the next morning is what we just talked about.
Yes, sir.
Close it up. It's the last website visit. And then she goes to go see how it
The,
works.
that the app is opened up and likely that that was the last thing seen.
Hi, Kimmy. Hi, Kim.
Nothing further, Judge.
You don't have access to the actual internal records from meetmindful.com.
No, sir, I do not.
So if the internal records showed interactions within the website at that time, it wouldn't be something you'd be privy to.
No, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mr. Montgomery, you may step down. Thank you
Thank
very
Your Honor.
much.
Have a great weekend.
Do the same, sir.
I missed half
All
an
right,
hour.
ladies and gentlemen,
I slept.
time for us to take our recess for the weekend. I hope all of you stay safe. Please make sure you don't watch the
Right.
news.
Thank you, Judge. I'll be honest with you, I slept. Well, I slept through it all, but I did sleep a fair bit. Jesus, that was long. Montgomery, you bloody bugger, you. We're going on to day 3 straight away now. Hopefully this is a little bit more. A little bit. Let's go. Let's go. I'm tired. I'll tell you why I'm tired, right? Replay crew, make sure you like and subscribe when we're done. But anyway, this is why I'm tired, right? I ordered a new bed and new mattress and everything, and new cupboard and everything. So I've done all that. Phone me this morning. Ready or no, here I come. Gonna cry. So they just turned up today. They literally just turned up. I was like, what the f? They're like, yeah, we're on the way. I was like, what the f? You're supposed to come next Wednesday. So then I had to strip down the bed, strip everything off, get the mattresses out, get everything, clean the whole bedroom. So I was sweating. Then I had a shower, and they had to come when I was in the shower. So I'm tired. So I have slept today. I apologise. I don't apologise. I'm tired. But thank you, Chrissy. Chris Muller, we love you. Chris Muller, we love you. Chris Muller, we love you. Go and get a rest. No time for rest. We're going to the next street now. But not for you. You go to bed, Chris, because it's late for you. We're going. Yeah, but do you know what? I haven't got sheets. So I had a double. Now I got a king because I was like, I'm a king. To me, I'm a king. I'm not a queen. I'm a king. So I haven't got sheets ready. So they're not coming till tomorrow. Disaster. Love you, Chris. But you go to bed, Chris. You're probably tired. So what's going to happen now? I'm going to close this stream down, and it should automatically be sent somewhere. Boom, boom, boom. And then that's it. The next stream should be about 4 to 5 hours. 4:09. Jesus Christ, Chris. Remember, Chris, check out the other trial I was talking about. Hannah, you need to check it out as well, because I think it's going to be a cracking trial. It's the murders, quadruple murder trial. Hannah, if you're still here, watch it. Right, in case we get separated and not redirected, yeah, there we are. Now, I've ordered takeaway. So this is where we disappear to. I'm trying to juggle stuff. So I got a bacon burger roll and fries, or as we say, chips, coming in a little bit. So I will be disappearing in a bit as well. I'm just going to prep, get some Pepsi ready. I'm not eating healthy today, but I got gym first thing in the morning. So do you know what I mean? I'll make it up tomorrow. Right. with that, I'm going to close it down, and I'll see you there. And if not, use Satterpea's link. So with that, as always, we finish off with a free Zachary Anderson